here with Lesley Lehman, and if anybody's ever met Lesley, the word that usually describes Lesley is dynamo and unflagging energy. So, Lesley, thank you so much for being here. It's very kind of you, and take some time. Lesley, you also work with the Canadian Armed Forces, personnel support. Can you tell us your title and your role a little bit there?
Sure. So I've been with the Canadian Forces Maryland Welfare Services since 2009. I'm a partnership development specialist. So my role is basically linking and networking businesses in Kingston to the military community in order to support initiatives and programs. I love what I do because I get to not only serve the military community, but I get to meet wonderful businesses and people living in the community of Kingston.
That's right. And right now you're working on what's upcoming, the Garrison Family Fun Fest. Huge event. Actually, you're very much involved in most of the major events that are happening on the base. And you're still smiling. I'm so glad to see that.
I am. The Garrison Family Fun Fest is an annual event. A few years ago, we set a record in Kingston. We had 25,000 people attend the event.
Wow.
On an annual basis, we have between 12 and 15,000. And again, I do all the sponsorship donation for the base. So I bring in all the sponsors. I promote all their branding to the military. And I play a very key role in, yes, all the major events on the base. I work for a great boss who reports to the base commander. So I've got a very high-end role on the base.
Yes, a very good team that you work with.
A fantastic team.
Which is amazing. Now, this is how most people have gotten to know you, is through the military and what you're doing with all the major events. But Lesley, what I didn't realize until recently is that you have some amazing accomplishments. If you don't mind, I'll read some of them. You've received the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal. You've received the Canada 150 Medal from MP Gord Brown, and that's for keeping the provincial demonstration schools open, which we're going to talk a little bit more afterwards. You even find the time to volunteer as a swim and golf coach with the Brockville and area Special Olympics.
I do.
It's incredible. You're also a dedicated mother, wife, caretaker, and most recently, you've been nominated and received the prestigious Order of St. George for your contributions that you have made to your country, your community, and to humanity. So congratulations on this amazing award. I know this one means a lot to you.
Yeah.
A few years ago, a group of parents took on the Ontario Minister of Education, Liz Sandals, and so did you. And that was basically to keep the provincial demonstration schools open. This is a very big part of your life because you have become an advocate for children's rights with learning disabilities.
Correct.
A lot of this had to do with your son as a mama bear coming in, and you made a huge difference for thousands and thousands of other children and families. And tell us a little bit about how that began and what it's about.
My youngest, Josh, was nonverbal. He didn't speak until he was 7 years old.
Wow.
So he was diagnosed with verbal dyspraxia and a multitude of other diagnoses. So what that essentially meant was that he didn't learn the same way that most other children do. If you don't learn how to read, and if you're not a fluent reader by the age of grade 3, you've passed that point where you're actually going to learn how to read, and the teachers don't teach reading past grade 4. So with all of Josh's speech therapy when he was younger, a wonderful speech therapist said to me, Lesley, there's a program called Saganaska. It's a provincial demonstration school. You may want to keep this in your back pocket because you may need this in the future. So Josh, finished grade 3, grade 4. He was still a non-reader. He was almost about to go into grade 6 reading at a grade 1 level because he has very low memory and recall as well. We applied to Saganaska Demonstration School, which takes about a year and a half to apply. It's a huge process. We got accepted into this school. Josh went away to school at the age of 11 years old. He went to boarding school for 2 years, and he went from a non-reader to reading at an equivalent level with his peers. Now, the reason that this school is so successful is that all these teachers are subject matter experts. And while we were there, the Ontario government decided to close these schools. These schools have been open for 30 plus years. 150 students a year graduate from these schools, and they go on to graduate high school and university and become doctors and lawyers and engineers. So I thought to myself, this isn't right. There's no tools in the home school, so we fought it. They were going to close these schools, send these children back to their home schools with no resources, no tools. So myself, I was chair of the committee taking on and fighting for these schools. We actually took our fight to the Human Rights Commission of Ontario, and we filed a $12.8 million claim against the Ontario government, and specifically Liz Sandals at the time, who was Minister of Education. And we didn't want the money. It's not about the money.
Right.
It's about the tools. It's about the resources. It's about giving the teachers the right training to work with these children, that not everyone learns the same way. The Human Rights Commission saw all these files come in. They thought, wow, they've got something here. They put them all together, and the Ontario government was presented with this claim. They then realized, we're doing something wrong. We need to rethink this.
Right.
They reopened the schools, and 2 years later, the Ontario Human Rights Commission actually changed their resolutions and adopted that children with special needs, specifically learning disabilities, and children with dyslexic have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else. It's now in the Human Rights Charter that children with learning disabilities have to have the same tools, have to have the same opportunities as all other children.
Yeah.
So what I do now is I travel around Ontario and I give support to families who have children with special needs. I advocate for them. If they're having trouble in their high school, I get on the phone, I call that high school principal, and they know who I am, unfortunately. And they say, oh, Lesley Lehman? Okay, no, don't have her call me. We'll just let you do this.
Okay.
So the one thing that I've gained from this is, number one, my child is a phenomenal reader. He's excelling. He's in grade 11. He's going off to university in a couple of years. And that hundreds and hundreds of children are going to be fluent readers in the future, which is my biggest accomplishment yet.
Lesley, that's an amazing accomplishment. Kudos to you for helping so many thousands of families, and still sticking with it as an advocate and helping. And your son is a great testament to so many other children and families out there that, with some grit and an amazing mom.
Yeah.
Because you also stayed up late at night. You were telling me the story where you helped him with notes, and you were up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Your husband came in and says, "What are you doing?"
I transcribe all of his high school notes. So he can read, but he learns differently. He's on technology 100% of the time. He's got speech to text, text to speech. So it's an ongoing process. I mean, university is going to be kind of fun because he's going to be far away, and it's going to be interesting how I transcribe those notes for him. But in university and in post-secondary, there's actually additional services that these students can actually have, whereas in elementary school, you know, these students don't get an EA because there's nothing physically wrong with them. You know, they're not discipline issues. They're just children that learn differently. We need to make sure that the earlier diagnosis comes in, the earlier intervention comes in, and we have to provide the resources to the teachers to ensure that the children can be successful. And that's part of our fight as well, is we're there supporting the teachers. So the teachers know that what we're doing is supporting them. There's a program called Empower that they use at the demonstration schools, and we're trying to get this Empower reading program throughout all the schools in Ontario.
Which is an amazing thing.
Yep, that was a couple of years of my life. That was a very busy time for me.
I can imagine. And plus you worked full time as well.
Plus I worked full time as well.
Yeah, which is incredible. So I have to ask you this question is, I know you love the outdoors, you love sports. Is this what you do to sort of have your downtime with your family? What do you love to do? Yeah,
so we love the outdoors. We canoe and we kayak and we camp. We've traveled across Canada a couple times, and we also travel internationally. We take the classroom out of the classroom, if I can say that.
Yes.
I think it all comes down to how you were raised and your morals and values, and giving back to the community. I know one of the last things my father said to me before he passed away many years ago was that whatever you do, you have to leave this place a better place than how we found it. So I'm just contributing a little way that I can. There's many more people that have done, much larger things than I have, but I'm just cutting my little piece, and I'm bettering the lives of others, and I think that's my contribution for sure.
So tell us a little bit about, I guess, what Women Mean Business is for you, this network.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's a wonderful network, and I mean, I think you've got your sharing club, plus you've got, I think, 1,300 members of your group, which is absolutely phenomenal. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think for me, it's all about networking and meeting other women that, have had successes, have struggles. I think if we take some of the strengths from the other women that we're meeting, and we wonder and try and implement them maybe into our lives, maybe to talk to a woman who has had the same issue that we've had, and how they dealt with it, or how they moved on, how they lived their life, how they've overcome fears or anxieties. I think that's huge, and I think that, you know, there's lots of extremely successful women within your organization, and it all comes with failures, and it all comes with, you know, am I good enough, or what can I do, and your insecurities. And I think that women building up women is actually extremely powerful. And if you look at the placement in Kingston or in Canada of all the women that have these huge roles now, you know, and a huge role could be, you know, even just managing a family is a huge responsibility, right? So I think the opportunity that we have to learn from these other women is phenomenal. You and Gabby have done a phenomenal job, and it's going to continue to grow over the years. And, you know, the world, it's limitless where you're going to go with this. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you, hon. Thank you very much. And I think one of the greatest pleasures and greatest accomplishments for us is actually meeting these amazing dynamic women in our own backyard. You know, a lot of people think you have to go to a big city to meet these phenomenal women that are inspiring, but that's what this series is about. It's actually meeting these phenomenal women in our own backyard, and actually a lot of our events.
True.
And getting to know them a little bit better, just beyond their role at work or at home, and getting to know something about them. And it is about uplifting each other.
It is.
Yeah. So I'm very grateful you're a part of it.
Thank you very much.